Welcome, weary traveler, to the Oracle at Mushin Tarotcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to give you a half-light tarot reading. The half-light tarot reading, you will get a Soul's Journey card, a Shadow card, a Light card, and an Integration card. Now, half-light healing is based on the concept of not giving you all of this light, fluffy stuff, giving you some actual soul work to do. And with that, I've said enough. Let's get into the reading. So, your Soul's Journey card is grief. So, this week there's going to be some grief, and oftentimes we associate grief with a sense of loss in one way or another, loss of people, but there's all different types of grief. And if you look at the green here, this green has this kind of dark heaviness to it. So, green is the heart chakra. The heaviness is obviously the heaviness of the heart. But if you look at some of the softer, more subtle colors of it, you will notice a light blue, which is communication. You will notice these various shades of purple, which are all about spiritual connection. And if you look, there's this mask on the card, and the mask is crying this color of blue. It's crying out communication. But when you lift the mask, you see this face of spirit beneath it. And for me, when we really tap into the truest potential of what we're experiencing and really look at it in a higher perspective, we begin to understand that we have been given the ability to communicate the depth of human experience, because the only way that you can really grieve something is if you place value on it, and the value that we place on it is one of the benefits of it. There's this energetic exchange there. One final thing on this card of grief, if you notice, there's this little thing right on the throat chakra, and it's saying to communicate your sense of loss, to communicate what you're grieving over, and just let it out. I guess there's one more final thing, and you have the moon there. So the moon in esoteric symbolism typically represents this light in the darkness, revealing something that we might not have known otherwise. And to me, this grief is going to reveal something about yourself that you might not have known otherwise if you're willing to do the work. And that could be something amazing and inspiring and encouraging if you're willing to step into it. Or it could be something really, really unpleasant if you're not willing to deal with it. And with that, we will move into the shadow card. Ironically enough, the shadow card, you've gotten the moon. So the moon is really, like I had mentioned, it's about kind of this hidden concept. And in tarot, more specifically even, it is relative to this emotional underpinning of a situation and not addressing the emotions. So there's the stillness of the water where the emotions are still, but what lies beneath the surface of the card. And that's something that we really, really have to dive into. The other aspect of this moon card is there's this island. So the island is green with grass. So it's this isolation of the heart in the moon, because we're not really tapping into the depths of our emotions. Something else about the moon and numerology, if you add the 8 and the 1 up, you would get a 9. And 9 is the Hermit card. So when you begin to access the power of the Hermit and integrate your whole experience and look back on maybe why you're grieving, what you're not grieving, what you haven't processed yet, you're going to be able to uncover all sorts of stuff. And this is kind of more of a metaphorical thing, but think of this concept of the lady in the lake in Arthurian legend. There was this great gift at the bottom of the lake, and that's kind of what the moon is saying. There's this great gift underneath the surface of these emotions that we aren't willing to kind of chart or journey into, but when we begin to journey into them, we're going to find this great treasure. And if we're able to resurface, we'll come out stronger than we were, or stronger than we could have even imagined previously. And with that, we'll move on to the light card. We have 5 of bows, empowerment. This card makes me laugh for obvious reasons, and I won't get into it, but it's empowerment. So bows in traditional tarot would be swords. Swords are all about thought. It is the element of air. And empowerment begins with thought, but it's further manifested in action. And that's one of the things of grief. If you can begin to channel it in a proper way, you can step into this amazing empowerment and you can begin to create lasting results and epic changes in your life if you're able to utilize it. So maybe somebody that you cared about has passed, and you can begin to take action to honor their legacy by living the best version of yourself, by becoming the best version of yourself, and sharing that with other people. Because that's what they would want from you. Or you can begin to empower yourself and understand that this person is looking after you. Maybe you're grieving the fact that you made some poor choices early on in your life and you wish that you were somewhere else. Well, now you can utilize that and empower yourself into taking radical responsibility and begin to take actions to shift your life. But again, it goes into the concept of the moon, and it really ties into this whole concept of when you dive into the depths of grief, or when you dive into the depths of some things that might not be very comfortable in your character, if you're able to navigate through it with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness and integrity, you're able to resurface with gifts stronger than you could have ever assumed. The other aspect of this Five of Bows here is, again, this green concept. It's all about the heart chakra, and it's saying that empowerment comes from the heart. I've been reading Carlos Castaneda's book series, and he really talks about the only path for a man of knowledge is the path of the heart. Every path has no destination, but the only path worth traveling is the path of heart. So when you really begin to tap into your passion and into doing the work, because you're going to have to, my belief structure is, I should say, you're going to be doing the work either in this life or the next one, so you might as well get it done sooner rather than later. But when you begin to tap into that, you begin to empower yourself. And the more you begin to empower yourself, the more you're able to empower other people. The more you're able to empower other people, the more you're able to affect change in the world. But that all begins with yourself. And this is the final thing I'll say on this. A lot of us want to see the world change, but we're incapable or unwilling to make the changes that we need to do in our own life to reflect and live up to our own value system. Live your value system. Don't just have it. And with that, we move into the integration card. And it is Two of Vessels, Attraction. So the way that I would take this, vessels are all about water. Water is all about emotions. And it's pretty much saying when you do the work of the moon and you empower yourself from doing the journey, you allow yourself to step into this place of attraction. And when you begin to process grief, you begin to attract the opposite of it, which would be acceptance, or whatever word you find suitable for that. Now, this card is really showing this primal aspect of these two characters. And when we begin to get honest with ourselves, delve into our emotions, do all of the work that we need to do, we begin to attract the best version of ourselves. We begin to attract people that are more in alignment with our mission. We begin to attract the life that we really want. There is this concept of the light blue here again as well, where it's all about communication. So the general concept of all of this coming week is going to be communicating from the heart, diving in, doing the work, like really getting into processing some of the stuff that maybe still causes us pain or that we haven't grieved. And I understand that there is a grief process and there's the stages of grieving, but if you begin to take action and you begin to inventory these situations and you begin to work on it, you can actively move through it quicker. And you might not desire to do so. That's your choice. And I'm not saying that choice is right or wrong, but understand that it's a choice. You can choose how you begin to move through stuff. And when you begin to understand that you have the power to make choices in your life and that you can choose different options and you can choose different things, you can begin to get different results. When you understand that your choices will give you different results, that's empowerment. When you begin to empower yourself, you begin to attract more of what you want, and you begin to attract opportunities that help you expand and build upon yourself. And you can fortify your foundation in a sense where these previous instances which cause grief, those things won't go away, but you'll be able to develop and cultivate tools where you can process it quicker, gain insight from it, and begin to really delve into the alchemical process in a philosophical sense of turning these things into gold. And with that, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to get some extra free readings or a free card in the mail or deals and discounts on personal services, you can sign up for my newsletter. That is at oracle@mushin.com, sign-up. And I'll put a link down below so you can get there easily so you don't have to go off of my voice. And I hope to see you on that side. Have a great week, people. Stay blessed.